Hey guys, I'm Mark,
I'm Alon.
and welcome to another episode of The Next Man Up. Well, welcome again, listeners. We're so excited that you have chosen to join us and spend this time with us and being part of this conversation and this bigger mission about raising up boys to become men of faith and of character. And we're just happy to have you with us. And Alon, you know, I'm always happy to have you in these conversations.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't be the same without you.
I hear you, man. Likewise, dude. Hey, folks, Mark has good coffee at his house. So if you're looking for some, he's got some. Thank you, man, for the coffee. Like, I needed
Always. Always.
You're just a great person to hang with and talk with, man. You're a good conversationalist, if that's even a word.
It is a word.
It is a word. Look at that. Go along. But I love talking with you about these like topics, man, and near and dear to I can from what I've known about you and what you said to me, that we're both on the same par. Like, dude, this is near and dear to our hearts. Raising boys become men.
Yep.
And so, dude, thank you for letting me be a part. Glad to be here with you, listeners.
Yeah, so it's a real privilege, and it often it's a way for me to just work through my thoughts and feelings as well. And so, listeners, we're happy to have you along with us. And if you want to be part of the conversation, it's feedback@thenextmanup.com or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter @thenextmanup1. We'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Dude, Mark, I'm excited, man.
I am too.
I know I said it last time, but I just want to throw it out there again. The 27th is going to be a block party.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be cool, man. We got these food trucks coming out, man. We're looking to have some fire pits, like just some fun things to just chill out and just do and just hang and whatnot. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you didn't hear the last podcast, look, September 27th in Westerville, Ohio, if you're in that area or close around Central Ohio, we're throwing a little like just get together. And so we're going to have food trucks, fire pits, and like hopefully like just families just come out and hang.
Yep.
This idea is that we just want to get people out there. We want to connect with dads and let people know what Next Man Up is all about. I think we got some partners, right, that we're going to be doing this with.
It's cool to be able to say we've got a sponsor here. It's Leap of Faith Dance Company.
Whoop, whoop.
A Westerville-based dance studio serving kids as early as 3-4 years old, all the way up to adults with some of their master classes or some of their classes for dads.
Yeah.
And moms. But we're excited to have them as partners and sponsors. And so if you are looking for a place to dance for you or for your kids, it's a fantastic environment. Alon is actually on staff, one of the favorite instructors.
Teaching kids to spin on their heads, buddy.
That's right, because that's a skill that will be handy down the road. No, it's a lot of fun, and we're happy to have them as partners. And so if you want more information, you can check them out at leapoffaithdancecompany.com.
If you want to know more about this event, please go to thenextmanup.com.
Yep. Check out our events page. All the details are there. Let us know you're coming, and we'll look forward to seeing you.
And by the way, man, that spinning on my head led me to like almost every state but Hawaii and Alaska, buddy.
Well, forgive me for dissing you.
I just want to, hey, for all my break dancers out there, I just want to make sure you know, look, I stood up for us. So what's up, man? What's going on today?
So last month, I had a real privilege. In fact, for the last 2 summers, it's been really cool. But this was a little closer to home. My parents celebrated 50 years last month.
Oh, my goodness.
50 years of marriage.
That's awesome.
Last year, my in-laws celebrated 50 years as well. So how cool is it to have both of our families make it to 50?
Yeah.
Not just relationally, but even living that long.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
But what a cool thing to be part of. So my parents they've been in the community for years and years and years, and they know everybody. But generally, they're relatively private people, and so they wanted just a family celebration. So we wrapped we upped a family time and family togetherness and, quote unquote vacation around their celebration. And the whole theme was around a wedding and marriage and relationship. And my sister-in-law is extremely creative in that way. And so from start to finish, everything that we did while we were together was intentional. But it was just so cool. And I think at some point throughout the weekend, everybody shed tears because of the legacy that my parents are leaving behind. When you think about like the big boats that leave huge wakes behind them as they travel, that's what they've done.
That's
and
cool, man.
And it's not a destructive wake. It is a very productive and encouraging and affirming and life-giving wake, and it's huge. And for them to have their 2 sons there and their two daughters-in-law and then the grandkids, it was just a really special time. Cool. And then the event capped off with them renewing their vows.
Oh, sweet!
And we were in this private area in a park, and it was early in the morning, and it was, it was just.
Dude, that's fantastic. I was about to say, it sounds fantastic.
It was fantastic. And again, not a dry eye in the place, just thinking about what that means for those that are coming behind them in their wake, the gift, the legacy, the heritage that they've left. It's phenomenal. And why do I bring that up today? Why are we talking about it? It's because I think it's important for us as dads, for us as husbands, to remember how important it is to love our wives well, or to love the mothers of our kids well. And I tell you, that's what I learned. Of all of the things that I've learned, loving your wife is at the top of what I've learned from my dad.
That is so cool, man. That is so neat. I bet I can see their faces.
You know them, right? And so I know you can envision
sweet people.
Yeah.
And whatnot, man. And that's so true, man. What a testament to, like, just walking life together in love. And how can you not, as a son, walk away with that thought? Like, my dad has taught me how to love my wife very well. Very, very well. Man, congratulations to them too.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that was the emotional, the high, but let's be real, right? It's not always easy to live out.
Nope.
And their relationship is not perfect, far from. The older I get, the more of that tension that I've seen. And yet for 50 years, they've continued to say yes to each other. There was one point over the weekend where my sister-in-law was speaking directly to my kids, and she's like, "Look, you as grandkids here have a body of men around you that have shown you what it's like to be emotionally healthy and to relate and connect with your spouse." And so, in that context, we were talking about how some guys are like, "I told you I loved you when we got married, and if anything changes, I'll let you know." Right? I'm sure you know some of those guys. Yeah, I know some of those guys. Yeah. And that may be a factual statement. I told you I loved you, and I still love you. But that's not a good way to express love to your spouse. And so for me, coming out of that weekend and that time together, I'm just reminded of how important it is to keep doing this.
Yeah, man.
It's not a one and done thing, or it's not just when I feel like it or when I feel good about the relationship or things are going well. It's like, no, I am, as a pledge from my commitment and as a commandment from God, I am to love my wife all the time, whether I feel like it or not,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In sickness and in health, for richer, for poor, right? I won't go through all the vows, but like it's all the time to have that mindset of how can I love my wife well? And that was one of the big reminders I took away from our time together.
You know, I'm thinking like the hard thing about what you just said is, well, how do I love my wife when I'm angry with her? And there's a tension, right?
There is a tension.
And I think like I don't know, one of the ways that like when I find that I do that well, it's when I'm able to hold that tension with the thought of, even in my anger or frustration, like with you, like I am going to find a way to honor you. You know, because like when like love is the word love has so many different like definitions,
The
right?
English language just doesn't do it justice.
Like I looked up, I think it was Merriam-Webster's dictionary had like over 28 different definitions. Different.
Yeah.
That's not saying they didn't have more. I'm saying there was at least 28 different definitions.
Yep.
Like on far end spectrum for each other, including like just like sexual. You know, it's like, man, dude, what? So how do like, if I can't even come up with a good definition for the word, like something solid to stand on for the word love, then how can I do that? Like, how can I enact that? How can I be that towards my wife? And this one guy, really interesting dude, Dan Allender, he says one of the definitions of love for him that's made it easier for him to live out love is when he thinks of love as honor and delight. And like to honor someone or to delight in someone is to love them. And so like I've really resonated with that. And so when I think of like loving my wife or, you know, anyone, in fact, like I think of like, dude, I want to honor you. I want to show delight in you.
Yeah.
Like, and so how can I do that when I'm angry with you? Well, when you think of honor, I think, oh, I can totally do that even when I'm angry with you. Like I can honor you by respecting you in this. In other words, I'm not just going to go to my friends and be like, my wife's an idiot. You know, like it's like, oh no,
that
that's
never
not
works out
honoring.
well.
You know what I mean? Like, right? Like, you know, or I'm not going to out my wife's business in front of our friends, like to make her feel like less than in front of my friends when I'm angry with her. Like I'm not going to like demean her, in a way, demean her in a sense of that being dishonoring towards her. But I can still hold on to like, I'm frustrated with you right now, or the decision if you made or something that we're fighting about, but I'm still able to honor you in the moment.
Yep.
Like that to me is love.
Yep.
You know, and it sounds like your mom and dad are been doing that. That's how you say yes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's how you land in the 50-year mark and the 51-year mark and the 52-year mark with loving your wife, even when it's hard.
They have completely different personalities.
Oh, yes, they are.
You know this. And so the personality types lend themselves to the husband overrunning the wife. So my dad's personality type is more bold and strong and outgoing. My mom's personality type is more reserved and quiet and peacemaker. And so they figured out a way to work through personality differences.
Sweet.
Right? Again, you know, there's plenty of frustration. In fact, we were laughing at some of the frustration that has been there through the years. We've seen it. It hasn't necessarily resolved.
Yeah.
But they still love each other. And the other thing that it makes me think of when you're talking is we culturally we have this perception of love as just a feeling.
Yeah, it's not.
And I think a more powerful way to understand love is a decision. It's an act of the will, like you said, to honor and to delight in the other person. And hopefully in a good relationship, there's a lot of good feeling as well.
Sure.
But even in a good relationship, and especially in a difficult relationship, it's not always going to be about feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if love for you is just when it feels good, or when you feel like it, then it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And the only way you get to that consistently loving your wife and make it to 50 years is to make it an act of the will. I choose to love you. Now, I'm frustrated and I'm angry in the moment, or I'm disappointed, I'm hurt, I'm confused.
Yeah.
But I still choose to love you because way back when I pledged myself to you, and you are the one that I want to be with. You know, it's too easy to get distracted and then to have that wedge get driven in between, and then it's, it just gets harder and harder. I don't want to go down that path, but it's not just when it feels good or when you feel like it. It's all the time. It's all the time having an attitude of love and an idea of the will, an act of the will, to be like, I'm going to live in a way that is loving toward you.
That's good. I like that. It makes this. It's good to think of this practically like that, because I think we get caught up in the Hollywood love stories. You know what I mean? Like, every day is amazing and is awesome, and we're laying in the grass with each other, or we're sipping tea at the local coffee shop like together, or we're snuggling in bed while the kids, or on the couch while the kids dance around us in fun. No. That's not always a picture. And honestly, like, to be honest, that could never be the picture for someone, like for couples. But like, that doesn't mean we can't honor, we can't delight, we can't love each other well, through the storms, through the hardships, through the clashing, like me and my wife, we are both strong-willed. We're just like, she can definitely let me know how she feels. And I can definitely let her know how she feels. So what do you do when like you have like a partnership like that? Like, does that mean that we're both evil people and we just yell and scream at each other and just tell each other our way? Or do we find a way to honor each other despite our personalities?
Yep.
Do we find a way to delight each other despite delight in each other despite our personalities? Yes, and it starts with us saying yes to the commitment that we made. That's love. Like, you're right. It's a choice, man. That's love. That's how we honor each other, even despite like our personalities or our differences or the ways that we're similar.
Are you familiar with the name Emerson Eggerichs?
Yes.
And his love and respect content. It's so good. And I'm not getting paid to say this, but
Neither am I.
I highly recommend the book and the video series. It's called Love and Respect. And what he says in his content is that men are wired to want to feel respected. And when we don't feel respected, we lash out. Women, on the other hand, are wired to want to feel loved. So in a marriage or relationship context, when the woman isn't feeling loved by the man, she does not extend respect to the man. And then the man doesn't feel respected, and therefore doesn't extend loving feelings to the wife. And you end up on this crazy cycle, is what he calls it. And I think the reminder for us as men, for us as husbands, is that it's important for us to help our wives feel loved. Now, who knows how that looks in your home? We could also go down the path of the Gary Chapman 5 love languages content, which is also good content too. But what can you do to help your wife feel loved? And when she feels loved, she will respond to you in a more respectful way.
Sure.
But like, what does that look like? You know, when you're frustrated, when you're angry, when you're disappointed, when you're tired, when you're busy, when you're all these things except the honeymoon experience, what does it look like to help your wife feel loved?
Yeah. You know, and I'm not saying my marriage is like everybody else's, but I know that both me and my wife, like we feel like the other one is loving the other when we're heard. You know, just being able to be heard. And I'm not saying in an argument like that, yes, in an argument too, but just like throughout the day. And so like we just text each other, you know, like just quickly, hey, just want to say hi. Nothing like, you don't gotta write no love poem or nothing like that. Like,
boy,
like,
but
glad
that's off the,
yeah,
I'm off
right?
the hook for
you know
that.
what I mean? Like roses are red, violets are blue. I love you. Hope you do too. Like it's like no, but it's just like hey, just quick say hi. Just thinking of you. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, and that in the response of like thanks, like appreciate that. Yeah, miss you. You know, see you tonight or see you later on. Like just knowing that. Like you hear me, you see me, you value me, like goes a long way. You know what I mean? And so like paying attention to those little things is what I'm really trying to get at. Paying attention to those little things, I don't know, for us it really helps out. It lets the other know that I love you.
Yeah. You know, if you got a phone call or a text from the boss or a client or job related, you'd be taking that call or you'd be responding to that text, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But the most important person in your life is at home. And how many times do we not take the initiative or are much slower to respond, right? The other, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
That was it. No.
The other one that I was thinking about coming out of that weekend is just the idea of keeping romance alive. You know, we're pretty creative and resourceful fellas before we get married.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately, we often forget about that resourcefulness or stifle the creativity after we're married. And you know, I could come up with a whole list of excuses why. And they're legitimate reasons, but if they're just excuses, then the relationship suffers. And I'm not talking about just the sexual, right? The romance, the ways to communicate to your wife.
Yeah.
I still enjoy your company.
Yeah.
I'm still attracted to you. I still want to spend time with you. I still want you to feel that heart flutter and that excitement and the mystery and the surprise. You know, it's harder because life happens and all those different excuses, but it was just another reminder to me of how important it is to make room for the romantic expression outside of just the bedroom, right?
Yeah.
Like make it more meaningful than just. Well, I'm not able to form my thought well, but like, don't forget about the romance, I guess, is the point here.
Yeah, man. That's funny because I think that's like one of the first things to go after you get married.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're together now, so I guess I don't have to try as hard. That's good because I got a lot of things to do.
Right.
It's like, whoa.
Right.
It's like, dude, the things that, I mean, any business plan, right? The things that got you here, you may want to continue doing, right? And so, like, if it works for business and for, like, you know, partnerships, like, I would think the longevity of our marriage probably needs it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? So one thing that God said was romance. Let's keep that going.
Right.
But the question is how? Like, how do you keep it going? You know, like, how do you keep that flame, like, lit? it just takes work, just like anything else, right? It's like it's the workout. Like
it is the workout.
During it's like, oh, dude, this is grueling. But when you see the results, it's like, oh yeah, like this is so needed.
Yeah.
Right. This is so like appreciated. I think it's the same with romance. Like it takes more work, but dude, the result is just amazing.
It is amazing. And women generally will respond to romantic overtures and respond favorably. Now, it's got to be sincere, and it can't just be the same thing over and over, right? Like that. It's too easy, guys.
Yeah.
That's too easy. Exercise some creativity and keep the mystery alive. That was definitely one that I came away with, like practical things that that I'm learning from my parents. In fact, one of the games that we were playing had a question around who was more romantic. And my dad is definitely the more romantic of the two. But in order to have a strong and healthy marriage, I think romance is a part of it. Just a couple other quick ones, just as I'm reflecting on what do I take away, and how can our listeners begin to move more in this direction, or keep it front of mind, maybe is a better way to say it. Communication. Can you have too much communication? Now, maybe the guy might say, I want more action in terms of, I don't want to continue to hear about this over and over. I want this to be resolved. I want to fix the problem. I get that mentality. But I think communication is so critical. Even just little details, little things. Good relationships don't exist without good communication. And so, how are you communicating with your bride, and what does it look like? And have you gotten laxed? And are there ways to listen more, right? To allow them to feel heard? And are there ways to express more, to be willing to say, here's what I'm feeling in this situation, and become a little more transparent and vulnerable?
There's two things that pop. Let me deal with the first one. First thing that pops up is like, isn't it interesting? Like, I don't know about you, but like for me and Shannon, like I tend to feel that things go awry when we're not communicating.
Yeah.
Like when you look back, like we go, we get into an argument, or we get into a fight or something, and like we look back, and I'm not saying MMA fighting. I'm not saying that. Like some people, you fight your wife fights you. Like, no, like we're not connecting. We're arguing a lot, or it looks like we're nitpicking at each other. When it's all said and done, like we almost all the time can look back and pinpoint that, wow, we stopped communicating at some part. Like we stopped. Oh, dude, we're upset because our finances are upside down. And it's like, oh, yeah, we said we were going to talk about this a lot, and like we didn't. And, I didn't check with you before I spent that. And you didn't check with me before you spent that. And, we you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just communication seems to be the piece, one of the pieces of the whole thing that's propping up us like fighting.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I wonder if we, like, just start communicating more. And then we do, it's like, wow, that was easy. Yeah, but it's an easy thing to let go of.
It is.
And so, like, I'm thinking through on that when you speak on communication. The second piece is, like, I think we can communicate a lot of wrong things. No, it's like, oh no, we talk, but how are you talking? Like, are you coming with the white flag and open arms and being vulnerable and open and honoring of each other?
Right.
Or are you coming with arms crossed, jacket pulled back so you can see my gun? Like, you know what I mean?
Locked and loaded.
Coming with our armies and ready to attack. In other words, are we rolling our eyes at each other? Are we, is our body language saying, the opposite of what we're saying with our mouths. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are we communicating? That matters, man. Like,
it does matter.
Like my wife, like I just noticed, like if she starts talking and I automatically show with my body, not just with my words, that I don't believe in what she's about to tell me, or I'm shut off. Like I automatically can tell. You could tell, man. You could tell when your wife is like, this is no point even talking about this. You already set up your position already. Like, you could tell.
Yep.
You know, and I'm not in that way. I feel like I'm not communicating. I'm not opening up the lines of communication. I'm actually doing the opposite.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. It's key, man. It's key. And there are ways to do it that are healthy.
Yeah.
And there are ways to do it that are very damaging.
Yeah.
Back to how can I communicate in a loving way with my spouse, in a way that's honoring.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing I'll share, and we could go on and on and on, but some of this is like, hey, husbands, step up here and exercise some of your own creativity. But I think the last thing for me is just a reminder of the importance to pray for my spouse. I have not been very good at that, generally speaking. Kids, yes, and other people and problems, challenges, issues, yes. But for some reason, I have not been good about praying for Kristen. And was just reminded again that that's an important part. You know, for those that are listening, that are Jesus followers and inclined this way, what an opportunity that you have as husbands to lift up and support your wives that way. And you know, it's time for me to do better. It just is.
That's good. Yeah. Well, we can talk about that one all day.
We could.
But I want to say I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree, man. Yeah, I'm thinking like, dude, when was the last time I prayed for Shannon?
When you pray for somebody, it changes your perspective.
Yeah,
like when you're honestly praying for their benefit and on their behalf, it's harder to hold grudges. It's harder to be angry. It's harder to not have a well-meaning desire for their benefit. And you know, it's an opportunity for me to do better, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All of us. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, we could probably keep going and going.
Yeah.
But I think the last thing I'll say to mom and dad, if you're listening, is just thank you. Thank you for the example. Thank you for getting up every day and choosing to honor the commitment that you made. And for demonstrating what it looks like to spend 50 years together in the good times and the challenging times, and to model what that can look like for those that are coming behind you in your wake. One of the cool things that they experienced is to be able to look around the room that was there and see the return on their investment, and how their impact is now 2 generations.
That's so cool.
Right?
Yeah, that is so cool.
So anyway, mom and dad, thank you. Thank you for the example. Thank you for the content inspiration today, and for all that you've done for your family and for each other. You'll probably never know the full impact, and I just want you to know you're appreciated.
That's cool. That's really cool.
All right, my friend.
Well,
thanks for this.
Thank you, man. Thanks for letting me be on this conversation.
Yeah.
All right, man.
It's been good, as always.
Adios.
Adios. Hey, listeners, thanks for journeying with us on this Next Man Up podcast. You know, we would love to hear from you. Maybe you have a question or an idea, perhaps a topic for us to consider. If that's you and you want to reach out to us, you can get us at feedback@thenextmanup.com. That's feedback@thenextmanup.com. Again, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we'll see you later.